Classics at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off all packaged smoked salmon with Prime through January 21st. Top a toasted everything bagel with creamy schmear and silky smooth lox. While supplies last, shop in store or online. Terms apply. Oh, sorry. Did Whole Foods just get a free commercial on my live stream? Well, whatever. You're welcome. What day is this? It is still like a cheese-filled holiday situation at my place. Also cheese was on sale at Whole Foods over the weekend and I stocked up. So I have had a lot of cheese. Yeah. I got a Gruyere and now I'm like, what do I do with a Gruyere? It looks like I kind of need to bake it into some bread or something, but who's got time for that? I need to work on that. I'll have to incorporate it into something else. Maybe something with vegetables. I don't know. Again, requires cooking. I might have to hang on to that Gruyere until the weekend. But I also got like a fat ball of mozzarella. I got to do something special with that too. I might have to spend the whole weekend. No, wait, I'm out of town this weekend. I can't spend the whole weekend cooking with cheese. This week is too busy. My cheese is going to have to wait till next week. First world problems. I don't know what I was going to talk about today, honestly, now that I think about it. Oh, let me get this out. Oh, that's why. Okay. How was everybody's holiday? I feel like all of social media is just angry right now between the TikTok bullshit and the election and stuff. Hey, Rodney, you're only stopping in for a minute to say hello. Hello. Anything you want to know? Anything you want me to talk about? Dan, it's still a holiday? Where? Not for me. My holiday ended at midnight last night. Not technically midnight now. I mean, but yeah. Today is not a holiday in any books, is it? I have my calendar in front of me. You just don't have work today, probably, right? Is today like your day off anyway? For you, it's always a holiday? Oh, well then. I don't know what to say to that. Sorry. I just noticed that. Hi, Justine. Oh, that reminds me. Did everybody get a chance to see the new episode of The Black Room with Steve Gorman and I? Steve Gorman and I finally got our podcast back up and running. We've just been so busy. We haven't had time to talk. Hi, Kartik. What's happening, man? I'm partly late because I was eating before I called. I know sometimes I'll eat and talk, but today I was eating and talking on the air so that I could get some breaks out of the way so that I could catch up. Damn, Jesse, it's snowing in Florida now? I've seen pictures from friends in New Orleans, but I have not seen snow in Florida. Wow. Do you think that's God punishing you for electing a... No, I'm just kidding. Do you think that's God punishing you for being a red state? No, of course not. That's the humidity. That's what makes it truly hell. Hey, Sandra. Yeah, you're catching me like right at the early days, you know? The first couple of minutes of this is usually just me babbling because otherwise I end up saying stuff that I have to repeat over and over because everybody missed it. Ronnie, you got to work mandatory overtime at the D on Fremont and it was actually dead. What is the D on Fremont? I don't know what that is. But yeah, Justine was able to stop by this morning when I premiered the new episode of The Black Room. So she can tell you if it's any good. Damn, Jesse, snow in Florida. That's so weird. I mean, it has snowed in the Bay like a handful of times. But usually whenever we see something that's snow, it's like a light dusting, you know. It's actually only snowed to the point where you could make snowmen. That's what I consider actual snow, being able to make a whole snowman. Like, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 times in my life. Oh, thanks, Kartik. I'm glad you're doing well. Am I well? I don't know. Honestly, I'm kind of on the fence. I got a long list of things I need to get done, but I also have a long list of things I got done over the weekend, but not enough. And then it's horrible up where you are, Kartik. Remind me where you are. Hi, Javier. Yeah, Jesse, it turns out that all that talk about global warming was like super true. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back about 10, 12 years ago, there was a big climate emergency and everybody was like, stop it. You're crazy. It's not a thing. It's totes not a thing. Totes a thing. Yeah. So here we are, Santa Ana winds combined with crazy levels of El Nino and La Nina in California are what created the wildfire conditions. That plus people building too close to the forests, and they keep wanting to blame it on fire hydrants, and it's like, no, that's not what caused it. But yeah, we had a bunch of like really wet years after we had a bunch of drought, so all these dormant seeds sprouted up like crazy during the wet years, and then we had one more drought year last year, and everything dried out that had sprouted up, and that was fuel for the fires. I think we are going to have to start, like, as a state, employing like goat herders and sheep herders to go around and just like graze flocks up and down the hills of California to keep everything for like fire abatement. That's the only thing I can think of that'll work from where those areas are. Hi, Todd. Oh, and if anybody wants to remember what it was like during the global warming actual warning when we still had time to do something about it, there's a great show called The Newsroom that was starred Jeff Daniels and what's that guy's name? Patel. Also, it was a show that happened like right at the tail end of like real news programming being really news, and was on the verge of everything becoming like pseudo news, where all the news became super politicized, and you were choosing up your news with your team. Yeah, The Newsroom is streaming on a bunch of places. It was originally an HBO show, and I watched it in real time, and it was so good. I swear I cried like every episode. It was so good. But yeah, it looks like you can get it on Hulu, Amazon, YouTube. It's on most of the things. But yeah, I remember it was one of those Aaron Sorkin shows, right? And I remember very clearly that show having a whole storyline around the global warming emergency and how everybody just shrugged. And now here we are. Hi, Toddles. The D Casino used to be Fitzgerald's. Oh, wow. I remember Fitzgerald's, because who could forget the Shamrocks? Dan, you missed snow days when school was canceled? Pfft. We never canceled school. I remember walking to school in like literal floodwaters and then getting there and just being soaked the whole first half of the day. And then I went home for lunch. I was one of those kids that lived so close to school I could walk home for lunch because it was like a 5-minute walk. But in torrential downpour and floodwaters, it was like a 10-minute walk. But then I got home and I changed. But then I just got drenched again on the way back to school and then drenched again on the way home. It was like that should have been a day that we got the day off, but nope. Rodney singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" No, I don't sing. Hi, Janet. Oh, Niagara Falls must be frozen because it's off season, right? So they've turned down the water a little bit and it's frozen up. Oh, Kartik, you're in Ottawa, Ontario. Ooh, God. Well, at least you're used to it, right? No, it's probably like It's like Yukon conditions up where you are now, right? You guys are like complaining. There's no matter where you go, there's always somebody a little further north who's like, "Oh, you think that's cold, eh?" Yeah, they get a little crazier up there, don't they? It's times like this I think of the Jack London story, To Build a Fire. How cold is it? Does spit crackle before it hits the ground? If anybody hasn't read the short story, Jack London's To Build a Fire, I highly recommend it. Jack London, of course, a Bay Area legend. Tracy Daly City's had snow twice, real snow, lots, 1962 and 76. Cool beans. Obviously, I don't remember the 60s for snow. I do remember what must have been the 76 one, because I remember there being one when I was little. And then I remember there being one when I was like maybe junior high school, maybe like ninth or 10th grade. I think it was 10th grade when it happened, sometime in the mid 80s. I'm talking about Fairfield. Jesse might remember. Jesse, do you remember when we had snow in Fairfield when we were in high school? Oh my God, Jesse, you're going to the Bahamas this weekend? Seriously, perfect timing, dude. Nice. I love that place. My cruise doesn't happen until March. But it's going to be awesome because my cruise has like 40 bands on it. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a host on the Monsters of Rock cruise. And I think we've got my my new guitar pick design. So for anybody who doesn't know, I have my own guitar picks, and I pick a new design every year, and I give them out on the cruise. And then after the cruise, whatever I have left, I give out here in the Bay. When you run into me at concerts, all you have to do is ask, "Hey, Nikki, you got a guitar pick?" Boom, I will give it to you. David, you've been in the Bay 30 years now, and you've been in New Jersey for 8. Oh, Jersey. I'm so sorry. It's got to be awful out there. PJ, only you can prevent forest fires. Oh, wildfires. Sorry. Tracy, that is a great idea with the goats. You see them in a couple of places. Yeah, we have them here all the time. The Bay Area hillsides are alive with goats all the time. It's great. All summer long, you'll see goats just everywhere, and I think we need more. Is it Dash Patel? Is that him? Let me see. I looked it up, and then I forgot to check his name. Let me check the cast list. But yeah, if anybody is looking for something fresh to binge, it's a really great show. I think it holds up. 3 seasons. There we go. Come on. It's Dev Patel, isn't it? Let's see. Yep, Dev Patel. He's great in this show too. Yeah, there's a lot of really great people in it. Like I said, Jeff McDaniels, Olivia Munn. You remember her? She was in Marvel movies. But yeah, great show. And I feel like there's a lot of people right now who should probably turn off social media. I realize the irony of me saying that on social media, but there's a lot of people out there right now that need to turn off social media and preserve their sanity for a little bit. Hi, Davey. Yes, Kartik, it does suck. I can't imagine living in a place where it gets Arctic. See, this is when everyone, please look around you if you're not living in California and recognize that this is why I will pay the high taxes. This is why I will deal with the commute traffic. This is why I will be buried in California, because it's a little bit chilly. Whereas everybody else is like in blizzard conditions. I saw video from friends who are like in Louisiana right now, and it was maniacal. Like, a friend of mine posted a TikTok from Baton Rouge, and it was like Cleveland level blizzards in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, like Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Sorry. Like what the hell? But yeah, global warming. It's just going to get worse it's just going to get worse because now there's no hope. We've pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, and we're about to start doubling down on our fossil fuel usage and repealing all regulations. Oh my God, Jesse, right? They canceled school tomorrow for you? We sent kids. Yeah. Well, we never went to school in 2 feet of snow, right? Because it never snowed in Fairfield. But I'll tell you what, I walked through torrential downpours. I remember like the water being up to my shins. I remember the water was like almost at my knees and I was like walking to school. And I still didn't walk like around the street. I walked like straight through the park. So it was like I would end up in this mud puddle like for the rest of the way just because I refused to walk around because it would take longer. Oh man, so weird. Yeah, Dan, it snows on Mount Diablo, but who's up there? It's like it's pretty. I can see it off in the distance. Oh, look, snow on Mount Diablo. Pretty. Ah. And then in the summertime, I'll be like, oh, look, fire on Mount Diablo. But then I can see the fire department roll up and put it out. It's a trip. PJ, you froze your ass off at 4:30 a.m. in Paso Robles. You couldn't feel your nose? You sure that wasn't the Bolivian marching powder? Just kidding. Yeah, see, this is why I don't understand how you do that job. That is all you, bro. I could not do a job that happened at 4:30 in the morning. I just couldn't. I'm physically incapable of consciousness at 4:30. I got to go to bed. It doesn't matter if I've been up all night or if I'm just waking up. 4:30 is not a thing for me. It's like Janet, you're going to 70,000 tons in a week? Nice. I did the first 70,000 tons of metal. And the first one, to me, still the best one because every Bay Area band ever was on the cruise. And we had the most fun. But then every lineup after that has always been kind of like, I kind of want to go. I really want to go, but I don't like. It just hasn't been something I wanted to do. Oh my God, Jesse, your kids grew up in Alaska. Is that where you moved to? Crazy. How did I not know that? Maybe I knew it and I forgot. It was hard to keep track of people before the internet. Because, right, we graduated in 90. So when did you have kids? Like 98, 99, 2000? Rodney, it's a little colder in Vegas. It would have been 100-degree difference from your hottest ever. That's weird. Hey, Brad, you're in meetings till late tonight. You just popped in to say stay metal. Not a problem, bro. Janet, you had fun on the Monsters Rock Cruise the 2 years you went. If you don't have fun on the Monsters of Rock Cruise, it's your fault because that boat is so fun. It's fun for everyone. It is even fun for people's like spouses and significant others that they bring on the boat that don't even like the music. They still have fun. We have stuff for everybody on that boat. It's hilarious. Jesse, you got a guitar pick? You have 10 guitars, so you'll need 10. I wish you guys were in Miami because then I would come visit you when I fly out there for the cruise. But you guys are like toward Tampa, right? It would be awesome. I'd fly out early and we'd like grill a tri-tip. It'd be rad. Yeah, Rodney, we are all bummed about John Sykes. Cancer is a bitch. Poor thing. Hi, Marilyn. How's Oakland? Hey, Mike. I'm hanging in there, you know? Could be better, could be worse. Mike, it's 8 degrees in Louisville and it's going down to -5. You realize the negative thing is like, why would we create a scale that has to go into negative temperatures? Why wouldn't we just start the scale at temperatures where that is just 0? Chris, we're not dead yet, but we are close. We are close to death. I don't know if that death is going to be caused by accelerated global warming or World War III or what, but you know, death is imminent. Mike, they canceled school there for the cold. Well, it's negative. It's single digit degrees. Like, that's just crazy. It's below freezing. So yeah, I wouldn't be sending people out in that weather. Jesse, you hate kids. Yeah, I'm not walking through snow for nothing except a ski lift. And even then, I will be like skiing through the snow for the ski lift. Oh, that's awesome, Janet. I'm glad that you had so much fun on the Monsters of Rock cruise. They are the most fun. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. It's been a long time since I was on 70,000 Tons of Metal, so I can't really say. And I never went on Kiss Cruise or any of the other ones. But I'm biased. But I still think our cruise is the most fun. Rodney, the hottest Clark County day was 125. It was 28 degrees last night. Gross. Yeah. You'd have to pay me to live in Vegas, and I don't even know if you could pay me enough. Because it would cost a lot to constantly have my temperature controlled and live indoors. Live in one of those fortresses in the desert. Jesse, your kids won't listen to you because they were born in Alaska. Yeah, you can't tell them you had to walk uphill both ways in the snow. But I know you make a mean tri-tip, dude. I've been watching you barbecue on the Book of Faces, and I am impressed. I have some friends who are actual professional barbecuers. And you're up there, dude. You could have your own tailgate. Yes, Dan, and the last member of the band passed away. Yep. I'm getting a little tired of reporting on people who've died. I don't know why we all need to talk about the guy who died. Especially since, like, I don't even know his name. Like, I've heard of the band. I know the band, obviously, because they were big in San Francisco. It was a thing. They had the movie. Bill Graham was in the movie, etc. But I don't know. There's already enough shit in the world right now. I don't want to talk about people dying. Rodney, you got to go catch an Uber to work. Peace out, brother. Justine, you've been here listening. John Sykes, yeah. Yeah, he was in Whitesnake. He was in the later version of Thin Lizzy for a while. And he passed away from cancer this weekend. Oh, Marilyn, I'm glad you're chilling. What's something fun to do in Oakland, Marilyn, as a native? What's a cool thing that you do in Oakland? I never go to Oakland except to like go to the Fox Theater. And every time I go to the Fox Theater, we're always trying to like find a new place to eat or hang out before the show. A friend of mine who works for Another Planet keeps picking all these places around the theater. And I don't know if people realize, because I keep hearing what a terrible place Oakland is, but that whole neighborhood around the Fox Theater is delightful. Hey, Jacob, look at you tapping in on Twitch. Thanks, dude. Nobody ever taps in on Twitch. I get like one Twitch a week. Twitch. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, 65 is too young to die. That's what cancer does, man. It takes them away from us. Dan, when was the last time I skied or snowboarded? Oh, that is an excellent question. It has been years. So many years. I honestly don't know. The last time I recall off the top of my head was back when I was still married. So that would have been before 2008, which is scary because I have a snowboard and I have all the gear. And a couple years ago, like during the pandemic or right before the pandemic, I forget which one, I bought some new ski pants because I was planning to go skiing, but then it just never materialized. And it's so expensive now. But yeah, I got to take my snowboard in and have it like tuned up and have the bindings changed and fitted to fit my feet. You're right. I should do it. I need to get more on it. Although actually everything's been hurting on me a lot lately. I'm hoping that we go to the work from home soon so that I can take this extra 2 hours a day I spend driving in and out of work to do some more yoga. Cause let's face it, I have failed at 8:00 yoga because as soon as the weather turned cold, I just got exhausted and I basically am sleeping for like 10, I'm in bed for like 10 to 12 hours a night, just trying to catch the full night's sleep. But I do have a referral for a sleep study now. So I'm going to schedule a sleep study and see if I can figure that out. TMI, right? Justine, it's been 16 all day degrees. I don't know what that's like. Nah, I'm kidding. I have been to Tahoe when it was like in the teens, and we never go outside except for to go ice skating or skiing or in the hot tub. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but one time we were skiing and it started snowing and we just kept going, and I had really long hair. It was like down to my waist. And by the time we got off the slopes, they were closing the slopes because the visibility was so low and it was getting late anyway. My hair had frozen. So much snow had landed on my hair that it had frozen into a solid block. And when I like leaned around, the solid block of hair swung around and popped me in the face. And then I was like leaning it against the side of the car, trying to crack it. And it was surreal. You like snow at Christmas time, Christopher? You know what I like snow doing? Something I can drive or fly to and not have to live in. I love to visit snow. I just don't want to live in it. Oh, shoot, Jesse, how did I miss that? Do you post pictures of your like Jaguar tailgates? Because I have not seen that at all. I'll have to go look. Yeah, John Sykes was a great guitar player. I'm not trying to diminish anybody here because the band was legendary. John Sykes was a great guitar player. I just don't want to talk about dead people today, Hey, Umberto, how's it going? You're right, Jesse. We got to catch up. Yeah, we started dating in like 98 and got married in 02 and got divorced in 08. It was in the way back. I don't think you and I were on Facebook until like, well, I mean, I wasn't on Facebook until 09, I think. So, yeah. Randy, we did not talk about the big concerts in Los Angeles on the 30th, and there's now also the Music Cares Gala benefit on the 31st. I have mentioned them on the air at 107.7 The Bone, but I haven't talked about them here. Hi, Kevin. Jacob, any guesses who the CIA will select next for their torture program? No more Metallica, right? You're about to see General Petraeus in Sacramento this week. Jacob, sometimes your questions are exhausting. If the CIA was really smart, they would choose somebody like Cannibal Corpse. Way worse than Metallica when it comes to like trying to torture people who are not into metal. Marilyn, the clubhouse is the only place you hang out. I'm not mad, but like, I'll be honest, the one time, and I mean the one time I finally was like, okay, I'll go to a club party. The next day, or maybe 2 days later, the place got raided by the FBI and everybody got arrested. And I was like, wow, that means they were under surveillance. That means that they got my license plate number. That means I'm in a file somewhere now. Thanks, guys, for putting me on radar. And that was my last clubhouse party ever. Marlon, there's a place in Oakland and Piedmont called Fenton's. Oh, yeah. Obs. Love Fenton's. You know what, though? They have a Fenton's in Vacaville, too. At the Nut Tree. But yeah, Fenton's is always busy. It's really good there, too. I should go to Fenton's in Oakland. It's probably closer for me than the one in Vacaville. We used to go to the Fenton's in Vacaville when we were going to the Christmas tree farm in Sylvieville and Dixon. I got to really get ahead of stuff because I really should have told people about the Christmas tree farms in the Bay Area. I know that they're a little bit more expensive, but you're supporting like a family business and a sustainable tree farm. So there's a lot of people out there, you know, just buying their Christmas trees off the back of a truck when you could be supporting a local business and having a fun experience at a Christmas tree farm. We used to always get our Christmas tree at the Christmas tree farm. I just haven't had a tree for a couple of years, not since the pandemic, right? I was like, well, and funny because like the pandemic would have been the year to get the tree, right? Because we were all home and had plenty of time to decorate. Oh, right on, Jesse. It's good to see you. And Florida drivers on black ice. I would not go out. Oh my God, dude. If you could avoid that, if you could like call in late and be like, oh, I got a doctor's appointment, I'm gonna have to be an hour after. I'd avoid Floridians trying to drive on black ice. Kardik, you don't like winter, but you love Christmas? All right. I don't love Christmas, but I love Christmas season, you know? But the thing is that I end up never having enough time off to really enjoy the Christmas season because there's always like so much going on. And I don't know. I spend a lot of time trying to keep up on the social media because that is part of being a DJ now. You're not just on the air, you're on the everything. And I guess I feel a lot of pressure on that. I probably should like just calm down. Speaking of, so this weekend on Saturday, I worked my other job at the Fillmore, and playing at the Fillmore was Jason Crosby, who is the organ and violin player for Jackson Browne, and he also was with Phil and Friends, and he plays with Bob Weir sometimes, and he's just he's a utility guy when it comes to like jam bands, and he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he's been plugged into a lot of really amazing talented groups of people. And he put together a show with Jackson Browne guesting and also Jackson's background singers, Alethea and Siobhan. And then he brought in a couple other people that I wasn't familiar with, but then also Greg Lease, who is Jackson Browne's lap steel guitar player. And so I got to work with all of them on Saturday at the Fillmore, plus everybody at the Fillmore who I love. And it was extra awesome because I hadn't seen any of those people since I was on tour with them in 2022. And because we were off the road when I agreed to the job here at the Bone, I never really got to say goodbye to any of them. And I haven't seen, you know, I mean, they knew. I don't even think they really knew. I think they just thought like I just didn't come back to tour. They thought I went and took another gig with another band, and like maybe they'd run into me again or something. So they were all shocked to see me in San Francisco, and I was like, ah! And it was super fun. So what Jason did is he's taking all these classic rock songs and then using different classic rock song lyrics. So he did Steve Miller Band Rockin' Me, Keep on Rockin' Me Baby was the melody, but the words were Take It Easy by the Eagles. And it's like it messes with your head because one of them was a Pink Floyd melody and then completely different lyrics. I forget who it was. I'd have to look at the set list to see. But it messes with your head because you know the melody so well that when you hear the different words to it, you're like, whoa, what just happened? Part of me wishes I wasn't working and that I just had time to stand around and eat mushrooms while I was there. But yeah, it's very cool. And if anybody's into that jammy stuff or that's slow hitting classic rock, check out Jason Crosby. Christopher, did they just close down a Christmas shop in Oakland last year? Maybe, but it was not Fenton's. Fenton's is still up and going. Marlon, if I like barbecue and smoke stuff, there's a Facebook page called Grill Nation. I like to eat it. I don't like to watch it on social media. I realize that's a weird distinction, but The only reason I see a lot of barbecue on social media is because, like I was telling Jesse, I have friends who are professional, excuse me, who are professional barbecuers. One in Europe and one here in the States. Cardiac noodles are good for the soul. Yeah. Which reminds me, Toulon, my favorite Vietnamese place in the city, has been closed again by the health department. I mean, it is deep in the Tenderloin in one of the most sketch ass neighborhoods in San Francisco. I get it, but come on, man, quit closing them down. They always end up reopening. It's fine. Little dirt never hurt anybody. I remember eating at Toulon when you would go, if it was full, you had to walk upstairs to this little room upstairs to eat. And I remember like on the stairs and plugged in at every outlet, like next to tables and wherever, would be like rice cookers plugged in and cooking rice for the restaurant. But you could watch them cook everything. So I always wondered, like, where's the shutdown coming from? Maybe it was in the food storage. I don't know. Sometimes the health department gets a little aggressive with what they require, but their street noodles were my favorite thing ever. Justine, you were wondering how the Fillmore and Jackson Brown got into your feeds. That was my fault. Yay. Well, you're risking your life parking there and then risking your life again eating there, but it's totally worth it because it's delicious. Oh yeah, Justine, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't live here. You're not familiar with Toulon. Well, the neighborhood is very sketch and the restaurant is family owned and has been there for decades. And I want to say like in the 90s, Herb Caen, who's like a legendary San Francisco Chronicle columnist back when newspapers were newspapers, I think they were on his list of like best restaurants in the Bay. So like this place has literally been family owned for decades, like 30, 40 years. And very reasonably priced, but you do have to walk through one of the toughest neighborhoods to get to it. But also, I don't know. I guess I just have, because I worked at the Warfield for 10 years, I'm just not fazed by it anymore. I can walk by tweakers and crazy people. Some of the crazy people make me a little nervous because you can never tell when they're going to have, you can never tell when an outburst is going to turn violent. But for the most part, I've always parked my car in the Tenderloin and walked through the Tenderloin and eaten at Toulon and gone to the Warfield and knock wood, never had a problem. So, but yeah, Toulon closed and now I got to find another Vietnamese place in the city. And everything's just going to cost 10 times more than it did at Toulon because Toulon was so cheap. Oh my God. In fact, the last time they got shut down by the health department, when they came back, they only raised their prices by like $1. And they were closed for a very long time. And it was like, I mean, I think they raised their prices by $1 like every decade. You know what, Kardik? I don't know. I don't know if they were being picky or what. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it's not entirely possible that there was some shenanigans going on in terms of food safety. You never know. But I can say that I've eaten there a lot over the last 30 years. And the only time I've ever had food poisoning was at a Subway sandwich shop in Sacramento. And I will eat all the food. Like, I know there are people out there who are like, oh, expiration date and chuck stuff. I'm like, oh, no. If the expiration date has passed, then it gets the smell test. And if it passes the smell test, I'm eating it. And that's that. If it smells good and it tastes good, I'm eating it. And I don't know if I just got an iron stomach or what, but I legit have not had a food poisoning incident since, like I said, that Subway sandwich back in the 90s. I was working at Bass Tickets when that happened. So it must have been like 96, 97. And right now I don't even have proper refrigeration. I still don't have a refrigerator. I'm just working out of my wine fridge. And still no food poisoning. Justine, there's a family-owned restaurant there that you've been going to since your 20s. Great food, people, but now kids and grandkids have it and the food sucks. Oh, I hate when that happens, dude. You know, that's kind of how 1077 The Bone got sold to Cumulus, is that we were owned by a company called Faltzgraph. And Faltzgraph is this like dish dynasty. It's like they make china. They make like casual china is their big thing. And it's like nice dishes, but not nice. It's like on the scale of like fine china and like ceramic dishes. You know, Faltzgraph is like somewhere in here. They make nice dishes, but they make them with china, so that makes them more expensive. But they don't look like your typical china. It's not like the fancy dress plates. It's plates that look like regular plates, but they use china in making them, which is supposed to make them stronger, but I don't know. I've got a broken glass that says otherwise at home because we used to get a discount. So of course I bought all my dishes from Faltzgraph, but then they discontinued my pattern and now I'm like, Arr! But I digress. So the Faltzgraph family and their dish empire had a son who grew up and was like, but I don't want to do dishes. I want to do media. And so he took the family money and started investing in radio stations and a couple TV stations. And then when he got older, I believe his son took over. I'm pretty sure they had them for like a long time. Maybe one generation to the next. I can't remember. But then the kids eventually came out and it was like no one in the Faltzgraph family wanted to keep running the radio stations and the TV stations. So they sold them all off to Cumulus back in 2004, something like that. So yeah, that's what happens when the kids don't want to do it. The family sells off, or the kids don't want to do it, but they do it anyway. And then they suck at it. That is a shame. Hi, Johnny. You approve of the smell test? It's gangsta. Yeah, I ain't afraid to eat it. If it smells good and it tastes good, I'm eating it. So far, I'm 100%. Kardik, I must have had good Persian food. From what part of Persia? That's a big empire. But yeah, Pan-Asian cuisine is definitely one of my favorites. We have I went to India. Perfect example. I went to Indian buffet this weekend, right? And this Indian buffet in Concord, I think it's called Swagget. If you know it, you know it. It's right across the street from the old theater, the old Brendan Theaters. And it was owned by this family pre-pandemic. And it was the best Indian food buffet I have had, bar none. Then they closed during the pandemic and I was devastated. Then they reopened, or so I thought. But now I am thoroughly convinced it is not the same people because we've been like 3 times now and it's completely different recipes, completely different offering. Like even the dishes that they serve are completely different and the quality's gone down. The naan is better. I will give them that. The naan is better, but when it comes to like the one thing that you're going to do better, why would it be the naan, right? Like I'll take chewy naan as long as I get good everything else, which is what it was like. I have a picture of it. That's why I'm looking. So now I will say that this chicken and this dal were really good. So was that paneer, but their butter chicken, and their pakora, not having it. It's not crispy. It's too, it's almost like a corn dog breading of texture. Like, The sog is good, but it's not a sog paneer. It's a corn sog. And I'm like, all right. And their raita, not completely lacking in flavor, but definitely does not have the level of onions I am used to. And I don't know, their sauces are just not as flavorful. I don't know what's going on with these people, but yeah, time for me to start branching out and getting better Indian food, hopefully in my area. But if not, I'm gonna have to start driving out of Concord to find a good India buffet, which is rough because my bestie who comes to have Indian with me is in Napa. So it's not like we want to go even further out of town for her because she's got to drive all the way out here and then drive all the way out to Napa. I will probably start driving to Napa because she's got a decent place in Napa. I'm not mad at. But these guys, I mean, for what they charge for the buffet, which I think is like, God, I think I paid like $25 each. Let me see. Come on. Where's that Apple Wallet? Yeah, so it was $52 for two people. For lunch, for a lunch buffet, right? And every time I went to the chicken, there was almost no chicken in it, like the butter chicken. I was like sitting there like swimming through the tray to find the chicken. And I just was like, I'm done with you. I was loyal as fuck to this place for years. I mean, like actual decades. And then that family left at the pandemic, and I don't know who took it over, but it is not them. And I'm convinced that I need to find a new Indian place because I've been to like the fast food Indian place in Concord, and their food is better than this and cheaper. The naan's not better, but everything else is. Oh, Justine, yeah, you know Falsgraf, right? Because they're based in they're from Pennsylvania where you are. Hey, Phil. 3 generations is the cutoff. Yeah, unless you're Italian. For some reason, Italians can keep those restaurants going for decades. Kardik, Persian from Iran, like kebabs and whatnot. Yeah. You know where I've had the best Persian food? The Netherlands. Persian food is, I mean, well, and it's not Persian, right? It's Indonesian. But I feel like it's not just Indonesian because they have the rice tafel, which is all Indonesian and delightful. But then they also have a lot of like Arabic places that are probably Indonesian influenced, but definitely Arab food. And they are so good. And it's like kebabs and what's this one thing that they had that I loved? It's like it's like the Dutch street food version of a kebab, and it's called capsalon, something like that. And it's really good. Let me see if I can figure out what is in the capsalon. Yeah. Oh, look at that. It was created in the Netherlands. It's a fast food dish with layers of French fries, topped with doner kebab, shawarma, or gyro meat, covered with slices of Gouda cheese, or as the Dutch say, gouda. And then they heat it in the oven until the cheese melts, and then they put a layer of shredded iceberg lettuce on top, dressed with garlic sauce and sambal and hot sauce. Oh no, the sambal is the hot sauce, an Indonesian hot sauce. Yeah, it's really good. Kenneth, what's on my playlist lately? You know what? I got to be honest. I don't have a playlist anymore. You know what I have? Audiobooks. And my audiobooks are going to depress the hell out of you because lately I have been reading I've been reading Randy Blythe's Dark Days on physical book, and then I have his new book on deck that I'm waiting to finish reading that one. And then when my playlist is audiobooks now, and I'm listening to Last Girl by Nadia Murad, and she won a Nobel Prize. She was a Yazidi woman who was abducted by ISIS, and her family and her village were all either abducted or murdered by ISIS, and the story is horrific, but that's what's on my playlist right now. Sorry. Super bummer, right? Yeah. What was the last book I read before that? The book I read before that was probably like Cher's autobiography, so it wasn't so bad. I feel like I read something else before that. Where am I? What's my timeline? Oh, the other one I read was the other biography I read was I Ran Into Some Trouble by Peggy Caserta. And Peggy Caserta was the woman who basically, I don't want to say invented bell-bottom jeans, but pretty much, right? She opened a clothing shop in Haight, right at Haight and Ashbury in the early to mid 60s before the hippie revolution happened. And she was selling like Levi's jeans that she was like literally walking or like taking a cab over to Levi's to order. And then she was like borrowing a car and driving out to Napa to get like I forget what jean company there was, but there was a jean company up in Napa making jeans and selling them out of her shop in San Francisco. And then when the hippie revolution came, her shop was like ground zero. Like she was like selling weed out of the shop. People were dosing at the shop. And part of it was her mom was making some clothes that she would ship to her from Louisiana. And another part of it was like, she had friends that would come in and like make beads. And one of those friends like made bell bottoms, and she saw how she kind of like cut the jean seam open and then sewed in the extra patch to make the bell bottoms flare outside around the platform boots. And so she literally went to Levi's and asked them if they could make bell bottom jeans specifically for her and her shop to sell. And they did. And then she dated Janis Joplin, and then she and Janis were friends, and then Janis died. And Janis, I guess, shot Peggy up with heroin and got her addicted. Janis didn't get her addicted, but Janis got her on the stuff to begin with. And then she later on like went through to become a total addict and lost everything. Spoiler alert. And then she got it back together in the end, mostly. But she just recently passed away. So I just read her book. Also kind of depressing. Oh my God, right, Kardik? Shawarma is the best. So yeah, sorry, Kenneth. My playlist is mostly books right now. That's kind of just where my head's been at. I haven't really been feeling like music. But to be fair, in my defense, most of the music I really listen to is live. That's why I go to so many shows. I'd rather like watch the music than just listen to it, if that makes any sense. Hey, Phil, how's it going? Hey, Kevin, you did not miss the Exodus discussion today. We have not had one today. We had one last week, but we could have another one. Kardik, you love Sambal? Good on you. Phil, Dark Days is amazing. Yeah, you know what? I actually have Dark Days at home, and I meant to read it, and I kind of got started with it and then didn't. And now that I'm going to interview Randy, I have to, and I want to read Dark Days before I read his new book. So I need to step up my reading schedule. And Dark Days is not on an audiobook. So usually like I'm listening to audiobooks because I'm doing other things, right? I'll listen to an audiobook while I'm like washing dishes, or I'll listen to an audiobook while I'm driving in the car. But when you read a book, you have to just sit there and physically read the book, which I rarely have time to do. But yeah, Randy is so badass. And you know what? For the last 20 years, I've been calling him Randy Blythe. And it turns out you are correct. Yeah. In the book, he goes way over it. It's Randy Bly, like Captain Bly. So I'm trying to get used to saying it that way. But yeah, Randy's never cared. I mean, I swear to God, I've called him Randy Blythe to his face and he's never corrected me. But here we are. Thanks, Kenneth. Yeah, I hope it was interesting. Depressing, but interesting, right? Phil, you didn't expect to like Marty Friedman's Dreaming Japanese as much as you did? All right. I'll see if it's available at my library. What was it called again? Dreaming Japanese. There it is. Oh no, that's not it. No, I don't see it. I'll have to find it. So Kevin, everyone is saying how Rob is going to make them better, but Zetro has been with them since 86. So I don't see what one has to do with the other. I don't know if Rob's going to make them better. I think better is like the wrong term to use. Rob is going to keep them going. Zetro doesn't want to tour anymore. He's miserable on the road. From what I've been told, Zetro is miserable on the road. And so for Exodus to continue touring, they're going with Rob and not Zetro because Rob wants to tour. Rob's also a great singer for the band. I mean, Marty, it's not inaudible either. Oh, weird. Maybe it's self-published, Marty. And Phil, where did you buy the book? Where did you get Dreaming Japanese? It might be something that we just have to buy at Marty's website or something. I mean, I don't understand what Zetro having been with them since 86 means, because he hasn't been with them since 86, right? I mean, they got Bailoff back in what was that? 89, 90? 91, 92. I remember there was like a whole big thing around the early 90s when they were practicing at that warehouse at 8th and 11th, and Bailoff was living at the warehouse and Zet was out of the band, and and they got Bailoff back, and then Bailoff died in 02, right? So my timing recollection may be off, but my Exodus singer recollection is not off. Zet was out of the band. Bailoff was back in the band. And then Bailoff died. And then they got Zet back. But then Zet was miserable touring. So then they got Rob. And then Rob was miserable touring. So they got Zet back. And Zet was happy touring for a while. But now he's miserable touring again. So they're getting Rob back. And honestly, if this is what keeps him going, great. Because here's the option. The option is not Rob or Zet. Right now, the option is Rob or Exodus don't tour because Zet doesn't want to tour anymore. And so at some point, I got a feeling it's going to end up being like, okay, we want Zet back. But we'll see how long that takes, if it happens at all. You know, I mean, in the meantime, it's Gary's band, it's Gary's band. And he's the one who's been in it for the longest period of time. Calling the shots, writing the music. I mean, even Tom was gone for a while, right? Not just the cancer. I mean, in fact, actually, I think he was in Exodus the whole time for the cancer, but he left for a little bit when Bostaff joined Exodus. So I think as long as Gary Holt wants to keep writing great music, he's going to have the musicians around him that are going to play it on tour, and that is going to be Exodus. Phil, you found it on Kindle? Okay. Is it a coincidence that Rob is back to coincide with the anniversary of Shovel-Headed Kill Machine? Probably. I mean, of all the factors that are governing this decision, I think that hang on a second. I think that anniversary is going to be the least significant. More governing is going to be the fact that Slayer retired, and then Slayer decided to play some festival shows, and the greatest likelihood is that Slayer will continue to play occasional festival shows, which means Gary will have that Slayer paycheck coming in once or twice a year, every year or two, however Slayer ends up deciding to do that. All the while, Gary will also still be like doing Exodus full time. So I think all of those factors, like what Slayer's, I think what Slayer is doing is the biggest factor in what Exodus does. And the fact that Slayer is doing something but not enough means that Exodus is going to always be active. And Gary is going to always, like I said, write great music and have those artists around him and surround himself with whoever he thinks is going to be the best touring band. And he's going to call it Exodus. And, you know, frankly, I'm pretty sure if Gary wanted to, he could just go off on his own and hire all new guys. He's not going to, he doesn't want to, but he could and could call it Exodus, and that would be that. So, and I think a lot of people are missing sight of the fact that it sounds like Zet just doesn't want to do it anymore. You know, he's no spring chicken. Guy doesn't want to tour. Exodus is not touring like AC/DC is. You know, AC/DC stays at the Ritz and plays one show a week. Exodus stays on the bus and plays 6 or 7 shows a week. So it's not easy. Why do I have 2 Zeppelin songs in this hour? Oops. Huh. Huh. You know what? I'm just going to. There we go. Okay. Oh, yeah. You know what? All of this is going to be in Gary's book. I think Gary's book has a lot more to do with it than Shovelhead and Kill Machine's anniversary. I forgot about the book. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, Jim, that's interesting. There's a new incarnation of Creature Features on YouTube, and Zet did the theme song. Is that the old Coffee TV 20 Creature Features with like Streffen Taylor and everybody? Yeah, Bailoff came in for the live album, but Bailoff came in before the live album, rejoined the band, and then stayed in the band until he died. Zet wasn't touring or performing with the band when that happened. And I remember him not wanting to. I remember having a whole conversation with him while we were tailgating at a Raider game, and he was like, why would I want to do that? I was there for all the good albums. I'm done. I don't want to do Exodus anymore. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. Well, Gary's book isn't out yet, Phil, but yeah. Well, Zetro got, Kevin, Zetro got married recently, but also they've been together for like 15 years or something. So it's not like a new relationship or a new marriage. I mean, when you marry somebody that you've been living with for over a decade, it's not exactly the same as if you're marrying your girlfriend that you've been dating for 2-3 years, you know? Dan, 2 for the price of 1. I missed what you were talking about there. Yeah, Kevin, I am going to Cliff Burton Day on February 8th in Castro Valley. Looking forward to it. Canada Dave texted me about it over the weekend, and I was like, glad you got that on my calendar in time, dude. Yeah, Phil Coffee. Is that what is it the coffee one? I don't know. No, Marty, I don't see Kerry King bringing Phil into Slayer. I think Slayer is already like I mean, it's not set in stone, but the Slayer gig belongs to Gary unless Gary doesn't want it. Then it would be Phil. I don't think anybody's looking to replace Gary and Slayer because Slayer is not going to be playing enough shows for it to matter. And Slayer is basically doing a one-off nostalgia grab whenever they play, right? So people are going to want to go see Slayer with as much Slayer as Slayer can slay, which means as many living members as you can get on stage in one package without having to like pay Dave Lombardo. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if it would surprise me if they came to a deal with Lombardo. I don't see that working out. I see it being a minor possibility, but Dave Lombardo always seems to just piss people off. So I don't think anybody's wanting to call him up because he'd be like, well, how come I'm not getting equal money? And they'll be like, well, because you're not in the band. And we'll just pay Paul less than we were going to pay you, and he'll be just as good. So peace out. Because the number of additional tickets that Dave Lombardo would sell is not significant enough for the amount of money Dave Lombardo would want. Kenneth, what do you mean Cannibal Corpse and Carcass at the Masonic in April? You forgot the big one, Meshuggah with Cannibal Corpse and Carcass. Yeah, it's gonna be sick. Here, I gotta do this. Ooh, let's hope that didn't catch the, what do you call it? The copyright police. .1077 The Bone and Heart with Magic Man. I'm Nikki Blakk, and Led Zeppelin's Becoming Led Zeppelin, the documentary, reportedly has now also got never-before-seen photographs of John Bonham's wedding in it, and it debuts in IMAX February 7th and all theaters February 14th. All right, now what am I supposed to do here with these songs? Let's see. And that's the way it was, right? Yeah, sorry guys, I got to do something here. Actually, I should probably get going because I got to get out of here too. Sure enough. All right, well, shoot. All right. This is happening. Justine, I'm going to add slow ride for you because I'm low on time. And I've accidentally got a duplicate Led Zeppelin song. So there we go. Okay. All right. Sorry, I needed to make sure I had all that together before. But yep. Okay, where were we? No, Marty, I'm saying the same thing. Lamardo won't be back. Well, oh, the 2-for-1, the 2 Zeppelin songs. No. I have to drop one of those Zeppelin songs. You can't play 2 in an hour. That's not no 2-fers. We don't do that. That 2-for thing is not a happen. No. Take care, Phil. It's good to see you. Oh yeah, Kevin, Meshuggah, I'll be there. It's a rare occasion I miss a Meshuggah show in the Bay. Well, Marty, Carrie is a boss, not the boss, right? So the holy trinity of Slayer in decision-making power rests with Rick Sales, their manager, and Tom Araya and Carrie King. So those 3 people will come to an agreement on what the deal is. And just knowing financially that Dave Lombardo is always going to want to make more money than Paul Bostaff, and Carrie King, Rick Sales, and Tom Araya don't see any reason to give Dave Lombardo their money that they would otherwise be making, means that Dave Lombardo is not likely to play with Slayer again. Oh, Jim, it is the coffee TV version of Creature Features. Nice. That's awesome. I love that. Kardik, you thought Dave Lombardo was a great guy? I'm sure he has been to a lot of people. You know, I never got along with the guy personally. Other people do. Those people are not Slayer. But I will say that the majority of the decision in Slayer regarding Dave Lombardo, well, Carrie even talks about it in our interview where he was like, Dave talked a lot of crap in the press, and Carrie was on a plane when it happened, and then he landed, and Lombardo had basically blown him up in the press about something that wasn't even entirely like true. So, yeah. Creature Features on YouTube is the one from Coffee. Thanks, Kevin. Good night, Jacob. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good night, Kevin. Oh, thanks, Justine. Well, like I said, I had to add some slow ride for you, so you're getting your fog hat in. Yeah, Kevin, I will definitely be in Castro Valley for Cliff Burton Day, so you'll see me there. Hi, Joseph. I am having a good night, but my night is just about over because it's almost time for me to be off work, and I've got some stuff I got to do before that happens. So that's why I'm tapping out and saying goodnight to everybody, trying to blast through these comments so that nobody gets missed. Like you, Joseph. Night. Thanks for stopping by. James, you want me to play a couple of riffs that will summon the warlord demons from the deepest pits of hell? Thanks for reminding me. I have got to program the Metal Zone. I got to turn that in first thing in the morning, and I haven't done anything about it yet. But I do have some good news for Metal Zone listeners this weekend. Our friends in the Ghost Next Door, speaking of Streffen Taylor from Sacrilege BC, Gary Wendt, also from Sacrilege BC, has his other band, has his actual band, The Ghost Next Door, because Sacrilege hasn't been a band for a very long time. And they just released a new video today, and I am going to be playing their new song this Saturday on the Metal Zone, hopefully. If we can get into the system in time, I'm going to play it. But if we can't, I'll still play it, just not this week. Hi, Ray. Hi and bye. I'm trying to get out of here, but thanks for coming by. I'm trying to do this between 5 and 6 in a perfect world, but it seems to be happening like 5:30, 6:30. Yeah, Kartik, it makes sense that Lombardo and Slayer stopped like being BFFs. I don't think there's like an active dislike, but there's a general dislike. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for stopping by. Um, yep. No, we are tapping out, Kevin. It's because I'm gonna turn it off here in a minute. Thanks, Lynn. Have a good one. Hey, Bismarck. Damn, everybody be showing up just as I'm getting out the door. Try me in the 5 o'clock hour if you guys are around. You know what? The good news is that when this moves to the work from home model, I won't be trying to get in the car to commute home to eat dinner. I'll already be at home and I can eat dinner whenever I want. So I can stay on later. But in the meantime, I've got to like wrap stuff up here at the station. So hopefully in the distant future, when I'm working from home, I will be able to talk to you guys into the 6 o'clock hour without the same stress I'm having right now. Marty, you've seen Lombardo talk about corruption within Slayer with money. He more or less said that management was robbing them and that Kerry and Tom were too dumb to realize it. Did Lombardo say Kerry was dumb? I'm sorry. Okay. In the if you want to just rank from smartest to stupidest in the band of Slayer, like Rick Sales is the smartest. Kerry King would be next. Jeff Hanneman would be after that. Then Dave Lombardo and then Tom Araya. So whether or not Rick was inappropriate with Slayer money, wouldn't surprise me if he was. Kerry would have figured it out, but also Rick has made all of their money for them. Slayer would not be Slayer if it wasn't for Rick Sales managing Slayer. So I think that there's a lot that could or would be forgiven. You know, there was a similar situation with Guy Sykes and Pantera, and Vinnie Paul left part of his share to Guy Sykes. So Guy Sykes is now an owner of Pantera because Guy Sykes was the tour manager who shepherded Pantera through everything. So I think that there's a lot of give and take that happens in this business. And at some point, it's not all about the money. Oh, I am tapping out, Justine. I had to sort something real quick. Yeah, I am. I gotta go. Heart you guys, and thank you. And yeah, you know what? Tom Araya is the singer for Slayer, and he doesn't need to be the smartest of guys. I mean, if we're talking about intellectual, you know, but yeah. Well, Marty, you know what? Two things can be true. Rick Sales could have done some sketchy shit with money, and he could also be the reason that that band has money. And so, what do you know? Like, my name's Paul. That's between y'all. Like, how a band decides to do their money is really nobody else's business. There's a lot that goes on, a lot that nobody ever sees. So, yes, I have heard of that band, Kartik. Yeah, that's accurate. They're strange. Yeah, Slow Ride is coming up, Justine, and I have got to go, guys. So take care. Thanks, Tracy. Have a good night. Thanks, Joseph. Take care. Good to talk to you again today, Justine. That's twice in one day. If everybody hasn't had a chance to check it out, there's a new episode of The Black Room up on my YouTube page. And I will see you guys tomorrow.